You know the answer to this question right after it's asked. Do you want to make more money from your job? Yeah? Well, maybe it's time to ask for a raise. But asking for that raise, let's face it, it can be a very uncomfortable situation. But how do you go about doing it? Well, we're trying to answer those questions this morning. We have career coach Christie Civic here with some advice as to when is a good time to have that talk with the boss. It feels uncomfortable even to talk about it. You wish it would come from the boss, be like, you've been doing a great job. We would love to give you more money, but it's not going to happen like that.
Right, right. And a lot of people think that in an economy like this, it's just impossible to get a raise, so you shouldn't even bother asking. And really, that's not true. You have to work a little bit harder for it, and you really have to deserve it. So this is a really important point. You deserve a raise when your value at the company has increased because your contributions have led to measurable positive impacts to the company's bottom line.
How do you go about knowing that, first of all, and then delivering that in a meeting setting where the boss, he doesn't want to give you the raise? I mean, odds are you're going in there, he's going to say no unless you can prove to him that you're worth it. Is that what you're saying?
Right, right. The first thing you want to do is you want to have a specific number in mind. So you need to do your research ahead of time to make sure that you have a reasonable request here. And then you want to give yourself just a little bit of wiggle room in there too, because you'll probably be expected to negotiate during this conversation.
So much like you would go into when you got the job, you were going back and forth on what you should get paid.
Right, right.
Should you expect to get a yes?
Well, you don't want to expect it. If they say no, you can always come back and say, okay, can we sit together and map out a plan that outlines the exact steps that I need to take in order to make sure I can get there in the future. So it's not exactly what you want, but you're not leaving empty-handed either.
As a boss, does the boss want the employees to take a look at themselves, their performance in the workplace, and pitch these ideas? Is this something that managers and owners of companies say, wow, you know, the fact that they're double checking where they're at in the company, that's a good thing? Or do managers and bosses, they don't want to have this conversation? What's your take?
Well, it is a good thing, especially if you can do your preparation ahead of time and you can gather some documentation that really proves what we're talking about with that increased value. So you're showing, here's the actions that I took and here's the direct impact to the bottom line. So you made the company money, you saved money, you improved customer service, increased productivity, something along those lines, and you can really show them with the documentation.
And we're quickly running out of time. Is there a time limit that you should give yourself for this conversation? Do you go in once a year? Do you go in every 6 months? When do you go in?
You know, it's really when it's appropriate. It's not because you want it. It's not because you need it. It's because you deserve it. So you've got to make sure that you kind of meet that threshold before you have that conversation.
I'll tell you what, that's great advice. All right, Christie Civic, we appreciate it. It's a touchy conversation, but it's one that you should have with your bosses. And if you'd like more information on how to prepare yourself for that meeting, log on to kdvr.com and click on the career tab. We appreciate it, Chrissy. We thank you for it. Melody, we'll send it back to you.
All right.